The Portland Police Bureau receiving backlash following the use of a police tactic called kettling during Friday's protest. Kettling is a crowd control technique in which police officers surround demonstrators from all sides, herding them into a confined space. Protesters can either leave through an exit controlled by police or are arrested. The tactic is considered controversial because sometimes people not involved in the demonstration, such as journalists and bystanders, have been detained with the protesters. Members of the Oregon Justice Resource Center, CARE Oregon, and the ACLU of Oregon are calling for an investigation into the use of the tactic and released this statement, quote, "Portland wakes up again to an unaccountable Portland Police Bureau who last night detained an entire city block of people for protesting on their own streets in their own city, and then without lawful basis required individuals to take off their COVID-19 protective face masks, be photographed, and to show identification before being permitted to leave. Law enforcement traumatization of our community must be stopped." Former FBI agent Phil Andrew joins us now to talk more about this. As always, thanks for being here tonight.
Glad to be with you.
All right, so the police force in Portland is being criticized for surrounding more than 100 people on the block, making them take off their masks, photographing them, and demanding to see their ID before they were allowed to leave. Is this a usual and effective tactic, and is it lawful and constitutional?
Well, I think what you saw in Portland is really two different tactics being deployed. Once law enforcement identifies that a protest, that there are violent actors within a protest, they have to take action to protect the First Amendment activity and protect the community. And once they've identified a threat within there, they need to try to remove it and disarm it. And this technique of providing a perimeter and then identifying those folks as they come out is one technique. The second thing that I think happened in Portland was once people were identified to be detained and disarmed because they had weapons and they were causing violence, there was not the appropriate amount of support from corrections to process those people. So what they conducted was a street processing scenario that required people to do generally what's done in a custodial situation, at the police station or at the jail. So they tried to perform that in a safer environment out in the open where it could be done in a COVID sensitive and COVID safe environment. And so I think really we're seeing two separate techniques and two operations that are being confused in what continues to be a really dynamic situation for Portland.
And of course, we want to bring you the police side of this too. The police say the group had been warned repeatedly to get out of the street, that they were destroying property, blocking traffic, and that they were simply detained in order to address the criminal behavior and investigate it. And the police said they found weapons and that 13 people ended up being charged with crimes.
Well, that's right. Well, I think probably more people would have been arrested had they had additional support, probably from the county or for corrections there to process them. But this just remains a problem for Portland, where they have to identify these repeat offenders that are using these First Amendment protests for criminal activity. Those folks need to be identified, arrested, and then prosecuted. So that they're not showing up to disrupt these peaceful protests again.
And when we're talking about the Portland protests, it was a different jurisdiction, but last summer the feds were actually pulling protesters into unmarked cars without explanation, driving off. The ACLU has sued the Trump administration for that. What do you make of that methodology?
Well, I think that they've learned a lot from the summer. And I think that the Portland Police Department has done a lot of training around these techniques. I think they've engaged the community a lot. And really, at this point, there are so many opportunities for folks that care about these issues to participate in public dialogue safely that violence is just out of the question. It's never justified. It should always be met and held accountable, because what it does is it discredits these opportunities for people to freely vocalize their concern. and the violence really it remains kind of a public safety threat. So the police have to respond to that, and I think they've learned a lot from the summer, and they've trained, and you see them trying to work with this. But some of this comes down to really identifying some of these violent repeat offenders and preventing them from disrupting these events.
And that's understandable and all well and good. But what about the people who weren't perpetrating violence, who didn't have weapons, who might have been journalists who just happened to be in the area, and now all of a sudden they're ID'd, they're photographed, their masks are taken off, and they're kind of lumped into this group?
Yeah, this is where it's really become a difficult environment, particularly in places like Portland, where none of those things can be taken at face value, because there are so many opportunities where folks that are really there to disrupt peaceful protest are taking advantage of the peaceful protest. And that is just a very difficult place for law enforcement to try to separate the two and do that safely while supporting the First Amendment activity. So, there are going to be a lot of dynamic situations where they're going to have to make a call for people's safety right there on the street. And there are forums for working that out afterward. So, any sort of criticism or complaint, there's a place to do that. And Portland's created that a very easy system for making those complaints and highlighting those if they took place.
All right, Phil Andrew, thank you as always for joining us tonight. Appreciate it.
You bet.